Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here and welcome to BBallBreakdown. Really excited to continue bringing you some terrific stuff as we roll up to this season. So fantastic last week or so, great stuff coming up. I have a really big one coming. I want to tease it as something about LeBron and another player from the past, and maybe that guy was better than LeBron. So stay tuned for that. Make sure your notifications are turned on YouTube and everywhere else. And don't miss our podcast because it's terrific. Some fantastic guests that cover the wide range of the NBA and other things too. So find it on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever else you go. Now, don't forget, our friends over at SeatGeek have a fantastic app to help you find tickets at sporting events and concerts. And they have a wonderful thing where you can see the vantage point from the seat. They'll give you a grade as you know whether or not it's a great value or not to buy it. And if you use my code BBall, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. So use my code BBall and not anybody else's like Simmons or Wojciechowski. Make me look good to them and use BBall as your code for their first purchase and make that happen. And SeatGeek will be your friend as it is mine. Now, without further ado, I want you to pay attention to Yao Ming and what was so good with him in the post, primarily how he attacked off the catch. Yao Ming was quite literally larger than life. The big men we had seen at his size tended to be more curiosity than anything resembling a skilled big man, yet from the moment he got to Houston from his homeland in China, he proved to the world he was meant to be there. And it wasn't just that he had incredible length, he also had remarkable strength, particularly in his lower body. And let's face it, when you block Shaquille O'Neal's shot 3 straight times as a rookie, you're dropping the gauntlet and telling everybody you're gunning for all-star status. And that's exactly what Yao did, making the All-Star team 8 times and All-NBA in 5 seasons. Unfortunately, a series of foot injuries ended his career early, but his induction does raise the question, is there some sort of arbitrary minimum amount of years you need to dominate in order to make the Hall of Fame? Would Yao have made it if he only had 3 dominant years? Did any of that matter since he was a basketball ambassador and someone who changed the entire culture of the sport in China? I'll leave the answers up to you in the comments. What we're here for is to see how the Rockets used him in the offense to get him his shots. Of course, the post-up was his bread and butter, something he did almost 13 times a game, unheard of in today's game where the league leader in post-ups last year was Brook Lopez at just over 6 a game. Often, the Rockets wouldn't mess around with fancy movement, just spread the floor and wait till Yao was ready to receive the pass. He wasn't a bruiser, watch how skilled he is with his face-up jumper from 12 feet, and look how small he makes Joakim Noah look. By getting wide with his right foot as a jab step, it gave him all the space he needed to rise up with textbook form and hit a jumper with nice arc. Yao also used his strong legs to duck in a lot, seizing the space in the lane with a quick step, calling for the ball, then finishing strong but with great touch. A simple dribble from the wing to the top allowed Yao to take advantage of the weak side post position, and since everyone was undersized against him, there wasn't much you could do. Here's pistol action as misdirection to again get the ball handler dribbling across the top, and Yao can decide when to seize the advantage. And it wouldn't matter if they sent another help defender, just look how close he is on these catches. He had decent lateral quickness and loved to use the spin move to the baseline, where he'd get underneath the hoop and finish hard. That spin move was a go-to on the left block, and notice how he attacks right on the catch, not giving the defender a split second to react before he's to the hoop and finishing at the rim. Once again, he leveraged the defender's balance against him since they had to use so much strength to lean on him to get him even an extra foot away from the basket. That spin move was that much easier once he got the ball. He also had a nifty turnaround fadeaway that equally was unstoppable and frankly, kind of unfair. He was most comfortable on the left block, where he could turn over his left shoulder and extend for an impossible to block jump hook with the right hand, or he'd turn it into a jump shot after routinely commanding deep post position. Where I think he stood out though was with his advanced footwork inspired by Hakeem Olajuwon. Notice how he lifts both feet, then scissors them apart without establishing a pivot foot. He can feel where the defender is, give him a fake one way, then find that turnaround over his right shoulder. And here it is again on the repost, where he makes contact with the defender on one dribble, then splits his feet to get space to plant the left shoulder for a jump hook to the baseline. One last time on the catch, he scissors them apart and it's over before it begins with a little lefty hook soft off the glass. And this might look familiar to Olajuwon fans as he spins to the baseline again and when confronted by a wall of big men defenders, shows the ball, turns back to the left side, then gets the reverse on the right. A supreme demonstration of footwork and ball skill unparalleled by most big men. Looking at their offense, they didn't have to do too much out there. Here's another example of 3-out spacing with Scola cutting through, letting Yao roam from block to block until they could get him the ball. And there just wasn't a big enough help defender to bother him. But here's something very interesting. This is what we now know as Spurs Motion Weak, something I hadn't noticed until San Antonio did it in 2011, but this is January of 2008. They used the flex action to get Yao crazy good position practically on the block. And this is the set we see the Clippers run out of horns for Blake Griffin, where Yao starts on the high post, then gets a double back screen across the lane on the ball reversal. Gorgeous. And here is some misdirection as they send the guard through to cross screen for him, only to pass it back to that guard so Yao can duck back in from the weak side and attack on the catch with another skilled turnaround fadeaway jumper. Since Scola was a good passing big man, they'd also use the high-low action when teams tried to front Yao down low. Scola flashes to the free throw line and finds Yao an inch away from the rim. They front him on this possession, and you can see the big man flash but they miss him, so that would just flow to the other side, where Yao can easily seal the defender on his back since he gave up his position on the left side of the floor. And he didn't mess around, looking like Shaq pummeling his defenders as he attacked the rim. And this wasn't your typical lumbering and slow big man. Yao had great feet and could get down the court fast enough to make it a problem for the defense once he got his feet this deep into the post. While he didn't display it often, Yao also had a nice jump shot from 18 feet on in, and on occasion would float out to the perimeter for a catch and shoot. The pick and roll was also a very effective weapon for the Rockets, not necessarily to get a shot, but to allow Yao to roll to the low block for a great post position. Notice how the cut by the post feeder distracts Ilgauskas enough to get a wide open look from 12 feet. But the secret sauce was the McGrady-Yao pick and roll. With McGrady rightfully commanding so much attention, it allowed Yao openings and forced rotations by even smaller defenders onto him, where he can just put his hard hat on and go to work. You can see how Jason Williams needed to bump down on him, which is funny actually, and by the time his man got back to him, he was right on the block for an easy shot. Here, McGrady sucks the defense in on middle penetration, finding the lift on the weak side, and just look at the position Yao gets from this action. Yikes. Here's the corner option automatic pick and roll, and back then, they hedged a whole lot more than they do now. So look how far behind Bogut is on the roll. He's already dead before the guard even looks down there, and another example of attacking on the catch with great touch on the left-hand finish. Again, out of the Adelman corner offense, they set the pick and roll, and it forces the guard to step up to help on Yao. It's kind of like a mosquito biting him or something. Tracy McGrady was an underrated passer in his own right, and the corner pick and roll would catch the defense unprepared, allowing for a great hook pass and a little shot fake and flush from Yao. When McGrady forces another hedge, there's a small window to slip this pass in, and he nails Yao right on the numbers for the nifty assist. The bottom line was that Adelman knew how to get his two best players involved. Here, they run pistol action with the other three players as misdirection, a great way to keep them involved before McGrady can throw another nice dime to Yao on the roll. When he got momentum going to the hoop off the pick and roll, I have to imagine the defense would have nightmares as guys would simply bounce off him as he went about his business. And he didn't have to roll all the time. Another one of those unfair moments when he picks and pops and knocks down the 17-footer. What are you supposed to do? Which brings us to that jumper of his. Later in his career, he went to it more often and proved it was a viable weapon. On dribble penetration, he became adept at flaring to the open spot for the jumper, taking advantage of traditional big man rotations to help on the driver to find wide open shots in the flat. A simple step back to open space allowed him to catch and shoot without even being bothered by closeouts from defenders who were 6 or 7 inches shorter than him. And his form was just about perfect, something very rare for a big man. Of course, putbacks were another category he completely dominated, and oftentimes he looked like a 10th grader playing in the 7th grade game on low rims. This allowed his teammates to be much more aggressive shooting the ball from all over the floor, knowing they had an insurance blanket that can simply step to the rim, reach up, and put the ball back in with all sorts of touch and with both hands. He was the rare player that could power to the rim with guys hanging on him, yet have such a soft release. As for Yao's passing, he had moments every so often of great vision and timing, but for the most part, he would make the solid read and the simple pass to cutters when the defense was forced to focus on him. He never averaged more than 2 assists per game, but he wasn't exactly a black hole either. Teammates knew that if they got open on a cut, Yao would at least look their way and make the pass. And Adelman's offense had good built-in movement, and Yao's sheer size allowed him to see over the defense to hunt out good passes for easy scores. On defense, Yao didn't record a ton of blocked shots, never getting more than 2 of those per game. But part of that was how infrequently the teams would challenge him. A big strategy for opposing coaches was to bring him out in a pick and roll, but Yao got a lot of his blocks this way as guards would try to get a variety of different shots over and around him, but he was excellent at moving his feet and keeping them in front, then swatting them out of the air. Yao also had great spatial awareness and timing, and would come over to block shots when teammates got beat. Another great security blanket that allowed the Rockets to be aggressive on defense. Rarely would a team try to isolate in the post on him, and he proved very difficult to score on by even the best post players of the day. So there you have it, sports fans. Yao Ming proved that he wasn't just an extremely tall guy forced onto the basketball court because of his height. He was supremely skilled and dealt with the pressure of an entire country on his shoulders with grace. While his career numbers were limited due to injuries, he showed more than enough of his abilities to merit inclusion into the Hall of Fame, and his legacy should be felt for years to come as we patiently await the next great Chinese big man.